Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from Somerville. What an exciting episode we have here today. Our first ever live streaming remote podcast. First time in history we're doing it. We are live in Binghamton, New York right now at WICZ Studios. My thanks to them for letting us sneak on in here with a very exciting guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome the former Binghamton Mayor, Richard Bucci.
Michael, great to be here.
Oh my goodness!
Right in my backyard.
How you made me come? I've wanted you on the podcast for years, and you said only if you come to Binghamton.
Yeah, and it's great. I'm glad you're here.
Well, we appreciate you coming out. This is very exciting for me. I was telling you a little about the podcast, which of course you've never heard of, and wanted to know if what the history was. I told you we'd been doing this on video out of New York starting this summer, every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. I said, well, look, I'm going to be up in Binghamton on this particular Tuesday. How are we going to do it? And guess who steps up? The friends, the network, and here you are in our chair.
Yeah, it's going to be a great evening. A lot of fun, no doubt.
I feel like you forced that. I'm not sure.
No,
I got you a free water.
I know it. I tried to put something in it, but they stopped me.
We would have brought the full bar. Next time we'll get your demands in advance.
Okay.
So you are born and raised, not only the former mayor, but born and raised in Binghamton.
Yes, this is my home, and except for when I went away to college, I basically have lived my entire life right here in the southern tier of New York. Yes,
which I just am learning. I've been studying for this. As the southern tier is a brewery, which is how I first came to know it. But it is referred to as that lower part of New York.
Right, it parallels the Pennsylvania border.
Okay,
so it goes right across the border, almost from, I would say, the Catskills all the way over to Chautauqua Lake at the end of, before you go into Ohio and Pennsylvania.
It's a PG podcast. We're just going to watch your... Oh, that's okay. I'm not sure what that was. Okay. Take me from the beginning. Tell me what it was like. You were born in Binghamton. Are you born wanting to be the mayor of your hometown? Tell me about childhood.
I think, Binghamton was probably like any traditional upstate New York City or northeastern city. A lot of great neighborhoods, a lot of great ethnic diversity. It was just a great place to grow up.
Yeah.
Close-knit communities, close-knit neighborhoods. And so we had a lot of fun. I mean, it was growing up in the 60s and the 70s.
Sure.
Just, there was a lot going on in the world. But right here, we still, were able to kind of put that aside and still be kids and have a lot of fun.
It seems like even my visits that I've been here recently, it just seems like a place that has it kind of a little bit of Americana, a little bit of like, here's your neighborhood, you're still kind of just, you go out in the street and play, you see kids in the yard, you don't see a lot of that anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And we still have neighborhood schools, neighborhood churches, so we still have all the foundation stones of what make great neighborhoods. Even now, with all the transitions that have been taking place over the last 20 years. So it's, Binghamton's still a great place to live and raise a family, without a doubt.
What were you like as a kid? Were you an athlete? Were you a troublemaker?
Well, I think to describe it, when I graduated from my grammar school, which was St. Thomas Aquinas.
Okay.
And they had the class notables, I was class clown.
Class clown. Oh my goodness, absolutely. So we're not going to get serious at all during this episode. Were you not a serious student?
I was so, but I just was always kind of getting into mischief. I said a lot of nuns earned their time in purgatory by having me in their class. I did a lot for those nuns, believe me. Some of them went straight to heaven. They did no pit stops in purgatory.
Just for dealing with you?
Just dealing with Rich Bucci. And the vows they took were tested, without a doubt.
You were put on this planet to really give them a run.
I was.
Make sure they meant it. Well, it's funny. I was a serious student growing up, and I worked hard, got good grades, and it's only recently I've run into some of my high school friends who would tell me that you were up to stuff. You were the little jokes or this and that. I said, I don't remember any of that, but apparently I was sort of under the radar, the guy who was always with the comment when the teacher was writing on the board.
Exactly.
So, were you more of an overt troublemaker?
I would say, because, for some reason I got caught.
Okay.
So I just don't know if I just didn't perfect it, or I wasn't stealth enough.
Right.
But it was, I'd say 8 out of 10 times they zeroed in on me.
You got, and eventually you get the reputation.
They did. And they would say, guess, how's our class coming up into 5th grade? Everybody, but you got Rich Bucci coming up next year, And I said, so it kind of, my reputation preceded me a little bit.
Did you have any older brothers?
No, I was the oldest in my family.
So you set the trend.
Yeah, and I had 3 younger sisters, so I think they were on trial for the first couple of weeks just to see, is this a Bucci?
True Bucci?
But they did all right. They established their own reputation.
Well, I grew up in the shadow. I had 2 older brothers, and that was it. As soon as you get there, they're looking at you going, really? I didn't do anything yet. It's the first day of school. Well, bring us now up to, how do you go from being the little troublemaker to the mayor?
Well, the thing is, ironically, as going through high school and then into college, I wanted to be a social studies teacher, and that's what I studied in college. I studied political science and sociology and got my teaching degree for secondary
locally
education.
Or
at St. Bonaventure University, which is out in western New York, Olean, New York, just south of Buffalo. And when I was there, studying government and history, I became very interested in politics and started volunteering to work on campaigns out at college. And then when I came back here, continued on with that. And so I loved working on campaigns, loved being behind the scenes, but never thought that I would ever do it myself. I mean, I just thought that's a huge leap to put yourself out there.
Right. But those people who want to be on camera, right? That's a bunch of hams.
And I'm always intrigued when I watch some of these people say, when I was in 5th grade, I knew I wanted to be president of the United States. I said, really?
Right.
Wow.
Right.
But then as time went on, I kind of thought, well, if the right opportunity opens up, maybe I'll take a run at it.
Okay.
And so then in 1993,
at any particular position or just
I was thinking more city. So I was thinking like city council member or mayor. I was looking at those per se.
Okay.
But it didn't have any set on a particular date or time or anything.
Yeah.
In 1993, everything kind of came into. The planets were in alignment where I thought this is the time maybe to take a run at it.
Okay. I was going to say, what is our time frame now? So when were you actually the mayor?
I got elected in 93, so I was mayor from 1994 to 2005.
Oh, that's a healthy run.
Yeah, it's 3 terms.
3 terms, and it's my understanding that once you were done with your run, they no longer let anyone else do 3 terms. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a correlation there, but that is true.
They downsized it to 2 terms only?
They did. There's 2 terms. Well, what happened was my first term, there was a movement to go to term limits for mayor and members of city council. Okay. So that came in, but they said your first term is grandfathered in.
Oh, okay.
They didn't count it.
Gotcha.
And so they said you can go for 2 more terms.
You can go for 2 more.
So I ended up getting 3 in, and so I'm the last mayor to have 3 terms.
For 3. You're clearly a popular mayor, right? They kept
I think things
electing
went pretty well, yeah. I mean, I think things went pretty good for the most part.
Well, how does that even...
some challenges, but
I can't imagine. I know as a stand-up comedian, I know what it's like to, no matter how good you are, how funny you are, what you do, someone doesn't like you. It's just the way it is. So tell me from the very beginning, the day when you said, I want to run for mayor, what is that like? Who do you even go to? Who do you call?
Well, I mean, you call the party officials, you call the party chairman and other elected officials within the city of Binghamton and within Broome County, to gauge support, tell them you're thinking of doing this. And fortunately, when I decided to do it, they were all pretty universal in saying, okay, we think you have a great shot, you'd be a good candidate, we're ready for a change. Because the mayor I was planning to run against.
I've heard that before. Imagine that.
It's a great slogan.
Yes.
But the mayor I was going to run against was also a 3-term mayor, Juanita Crabb.
Okay.
And she was finishing her 3rd term, and she was contemplating going for a 4th.
Okay.
And that's when I said, well, you know what? I think this is a time where I think people are ready for a change.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to run. And then ironically, just as it came time to file the petition, she decided not to go.
Oh, really?
And she stepped away from it, yes.
Oh.
So they kind of had to search for a candidate very late in the game. And
that sounds like, and
so
you've got momentum.
Yeah, so I had announced in February, so I had time that I had, been working very hard.
All right.
Like I said, building some momentum and so forth.
And did you have a family at the time?
I did.
Okay.
I had, at the time, I had all 3 of my children. And ironically, I talked about it. My son, Peter, was in kindergarten when I announced, And when I finished, he was a senior in high school. So that just shows you the time, from kindergarten to a senior in high school.
All he remembers is you or the mayor.
Exactly. So, and everything that came with it, good and bad.
Good and bad. I imagine so, right?
Yes,
Did the kids ever get a little trouble? They go, that's the mayor's kid, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. So I got elected, and it was a great experience. And if I had to do it again, I definitely would. There was always some challenges to it, but the positive far outweighed the negative.
Yeah. And you've done some neat things, if I'm not mistaken. You had a few photographs that you brought in to show us.
Oh yeah, we had some great times.
I think we might even be able to show them.
There we go.
Okay, here, look at this.
This is the St. Patrick's Day Parade in 2000.
Wow.
And it's the first weekend in March, which is when Binghamton has its annual St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Okay.
And that year, there was a Republican primary for President of the United States.
Okay.
George Bush, who was there in the center, was running against John McCain.
Oh, wow.
And our primary was the following Tuesday. So I got a call from Bush headquarters saying, well, we're going to have an airport rally on Saturday. Could you come up? Could you say a few words? I explained, well, we have a big St. Patrick's Day Parade. Would he like to march in that? I said, you're going to see a lot more people there than at the airport.
Absolutely.
So sure enough, he decided to march. And you can see the governor.
I was going to say, that's Pataki right there to the right.
And
are you in this photo?
Yeah, I'm right next to the president, and with the Irish sash on that says mayor.
On our right, and
yes.
Okay, and to Pataki's
and
right.
There's a lot of other elected officials there in the parade. But we had it was a beautiful day.
Yeah.
We had tens of thousands of people were in downtown for the parade.
I love it.
We had media from all over the world because it was a big story covering who's going to be the next president of the United States. So we had, I took calls from Irish radio and television, the BBC, stations from Florida, from the West Coast.
Sure.
RAI, Italian television.
Because a presidential candidate had shown up in your backyard.
And because they knew they wanted to see a campaign in action rather than a staid rally somewhere, to actually see him among the people. So for the journalists, it was a great story for them.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, what a brilliant opportunity for him to be one with the people, showing it all.
They came in, and I remember there was like a mass before the parade, and the BBC came and they said, do you think we could go into the church and just get some background music and footage? And I said, absolutely. So, they wanted to cover the whole event from beginning. They wanted all the ambiance of what was St. Patrick's Day like in Binghamton.
I love it.
With George Bush being here, and what was the experience of
like
that.
A day in the life almost.
Yeah, exactly. So, it was a real fun experience to say that, the president, he did get elected, and to say, the president of the United States had marched in our St. Patrick's Day parade.
Absolutely. So that's a fetter in the cap.
Yeah, it was a great day. Have
any of the mayors after you had a president come visit?
No, I think.
That's a no right there. I can
tell. No. But ironically, we had a few before that. But
once again, you ended the trip. Once you did it, we changed everything. Yeah. Well, now you say you brought one other picture. I think it was you on an elephant. Yes, this is, you're riding an elephant.
Yes, this is an old tradition too in Binghamton. When the circus comes to town, it doesn't anymore. But when it did. One of the traditions was a circus parade, where all the animals and all the participants, the clowns, the jugglers, the animal tamers, everybody, the circus wagons, everything came through town, to generate enthusiasm and excitement for the circus over the next week or so. Okay. So one of the things they asked the mayor to do was to ride one of the elephants, So, and ironically, before this,
how did you feel about this?
Well, I tell you, it's high when you get up there.
I bet.
But just before that, there was a story on the news about an elephant stampede, like in India or somewhere in Asia, and that something had spooked them, and they were charging. So that was in the back of my mind. So I said it to this guy when I'm getting up there. I said, "Well, what happens if something spooks these elephants?" He goes, "Well, we'll try to stop them." I said, "What does that mean? With what?
Exactly.
You're going to throw yourself in front of it?
We're going to try to stop them." Exactly.
That made me feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and
isn't it like a mouse can scare them? Isn't that the whole thing?
That's what I was worried about.
Yeah.
I said, or a car backfiring or something.
Right. And all of a sudden the mayor's gone.
So those were kind of the expectations of being mayor. That it's not in the guidebook when you first start out in this.
But you have to smile and do it, right?
Do it, yes.
I
yes.
love it. Oh, that is too funny.
So it was a lot of fun, though. It's one of those things you look back now and you kind of smile about.
Well, I imagine so, yeah. And that's supposed to be the fun events for all the politics of things, getting to do stuff like that.
And then, I think we were talking about before was the rodeo parade that kind of...
You had mentioned this.
Yeah, that kind of piggybacks on that.
Okay.
Is that I got a call from an organization that has rodeos that go throughout the United States.
Okay.
And this usually goes to smaller cities, so it's a smaller rodeo. So they said, we're coming to Binghamton. It's the first time we're ever in Binghamton. And we want to hype the rodeo. We want to, kind of generate some enthusiasm and excitement for it. And so I said, when the circus comes to town, when we have a circus parade, I said, why don't we do a rodeo parade? And we'll come through town with all the animals and all the props, and hopefully that'll generate some excitement. They said, this is a great idea.
Great idea.
So we're all lined up. We have like a little herd of cattle. We have cowboys on horseback.
Right.
We have some other animals, some donkeys, some sheep, like a chuck wagon and all that stuff. We're all lined up.
Okay.
And so we're proceeding towards downtown Binghamton. All of a sudden, the cattle start peeling off in different directions.
They were just on their own.
Going down the street, and all of a sudden they start veering right, veering left. And I said, well, what's going on? They go, they see grass. They're going for the grass. So they round them back up and keep going downtown. And then when they see the greater expanse of grass at the courthouse and at the arena, they're going off in all kinds of directions. So cowboys are chasing two cows this way, two cattle this way. And people are in their cars having no idea what's going on.
We're being overtaken.
Because there's cows running down the center of Court Street, Main Street. So,
and does that come down to this was the mayor's idea?
It was, and I took full responsibility. And then I just said my last scene was when we got towards the center of town. I said, I'm going into City Hall, and my last look back was cows actually running into the parking ramp. And I'm thinking, oh my God, good luck, have fun, I'll see you tonight. And, when I hear the opening bell, I'll be there. But other than that, I don't want to hear anything else. I'm closing my curtains.
Locked in the room.
I don't
Start working on that re-election campaign.
Well, I was holding my breath because God only knows what was going to happen. Because they were just running aimlessly, and they're big.
Too far.
So, but we survived it. But it's one of those things I look back and just laugh.
Well, that's it. Well, you have to. And what I like about that is you talk about the rodeo and the elephants and stuff. I travel obviously a lot for stand-up comedy in big markets and small. And what I love about the feel of Binghamton is it feels, like I said, like a community. Even though you are a city, I mean, you've been anywhere from 50 to 85,000 population. Yeah. It does have that feel of kind of a safe, fun backyard place to grow up. And that's Tell me more about the city. I've carousel capital of the world.
Right, yes.
I was told speedy chicken. I got to sample. Tell me.
Well, I mean, Binghamton. It's a unique place. It's we have two rivers that converge here, which gives it a lot of natural beauty.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
And for a long time, it was really the hub of and the birthplace of a lot of innovation.
Okay.
IBM's birthplace is in Endicott, New York, which is just 7 miles down the road from Binghamton.
Oh, wow.
Thomas J. Watson started at IBM right here in the heart of our community.
Okay.
And also,
so that must have been a huge part.
It was. I mean, at one time at its height, it employed between 15 and 20,000 people in this region. So it was a major employer.
Yeah.
And in many cases, it was a generational employer. Fathers worked there, and then their sons or daughters came to work there, and so forth. And it was a great company to work for, and it had great benefits. And so, if you got a job at IBM, growing up here, you were thought, you're set for life.
You're made, yes, absolutely.
And we're also the birthplace of simulation. Airplanes,
flight simulation, right?
Exactly. Flight simulation was born right here in Binghamton.
Is that right?
Edwin Link, created the first simulator, flight simulator, and as you know, simulation's gone on now to become, multi-billion-dollar industry with entertainment, and military uses and entertainment uses. It's grown phenomenally. But that was born here as well. So we had a lot of high-tech industry here in this region, and for a long time we were recession-proof. No matter what was going on in the 60s and 70s, because of the diversity and the nature of our employment, we were pretty much recession-proof. And then in the 90s, as the economy started to shift and jobs started to leave the area, we started really going into a, kind of a new transformative stage where we kind of had to recreate ourselves. And so now, we've become more of a center of, medical uses, a large hospital complex here. A new pharmacy school's just opened.
Oh, wow, okay.
Binghamton University is one of the premier public universities in the United States. And that's been growing substantially over the last 20 years and now has over 15,000 students. And so that's a major shot in the arm for this community, without a doubt. Everything that university brings to us, not only the financial component, but just the arts, the entertainment, the educational resources it offers our community, which makes it attractive for people to come and live here and bring a business here. So it's a great magnet for marketing this community.
And as I say, I see it a lot in different places I've traveled, from big and small. Erie, Pennsylvania, markets that once had something going and then sort of, struggled. And what I love, as I told you this when we were chatting before the interview, is I see a couple breweries, and near and dear to my heart, a good brewery. But I always know that a place is doing well when I start seeing breweries prop up, because it means I know those guys do their research, and I know they're when you see a comedy club, doesn't mean necessarily those owners don't always do their homework, but breweries, they do their homework and they look and make sure there's some people that are going to live there and spend some money. And downtown, there's some beautiful development now.
Yeah, I mean, over the last 20 years in particular, downtown has really seen a resurgence. We've really become a focal point for arts and entertainment. We have tonight is or tomorrow night, Friday of this week, I should say, what we call First Friday, where all the art galleries are open, and thousands come from throughout the region to walk the galleries, to go to the breweries, to stay downtown, and it's really become a real cultural event the first Friday of every month.
I love to hear
And that started when I was mayor. We were able to bring art galleries back downtown, and when some renowned artists that are known well beyond our borders, Anthony Brunelli is one, and Orazio Salati is another, and they're in New York. They're from Binghamton originally. They've worked beyond our region, but they came back here to open studios.
Wonderful.
And that became the anchors for the emerging arts district that has grown substantially. And then, like you're saying, restaurants and taverns and breweries have followed. And so now it's really a arts and entertainment destination, which is great.
Because, a wonderful thing to say,
A number of years ago, Binghamton was like a lot of upstate or northeastern cities that the downtowns were really dying. All the retail had left. And there was just skeletons of their former selves. And things looked bleak. And so you had to look to reinvent yourself. And this has done it. And downtown has become very dynamic.
And I imagine that you know far better than me, but I would think that all feeds on itself. People want to live somewhere. Well, is there a downtown to go to? Well, they're not going to build a restaurant downtown if there's no people to eat it. I mean, it must be a real delicate dance of trying to make all those things go well. And it's nice to see that it's going well.
It is. And one of the things we were able to do in my last year as mayor was to get Binghamton University to create a downtown campus.
Oh, wow.
I thought if they were becoming almost landlocked where they were, and I kept advocating, come to the urban center. I mean, the college can make a real contribution by coming to the urban center and everything that will spin off from that.
Absolutely.
So they did, and Governor Pataki at the time was very supportive. He fast tracked the money for it. It was a $29 million project.
Wow.
And he put it in two budgets, and we got it done very quickly.
Fabulous.
And so it's there now, and it's a beautiful complex. And what that led to was student housing coming downtown.
Fabulous.
And so now we have a large
coffee shops and everything.
So a large student population downtown as well.
Fabulous.
And they're a 24-hour presence. And so that increases security downtown because they're coming and going.
Wonderful.
And so it's moving in the right direction. So we're very encouraged.
It sounds like it. Yeah. How about my beloved New York Mets? They have a AA team here. We drove past the stadium.
Yes, it's a nice stadium, and they've had a lot of solid players that have come through this franchise and have gone on to play in the majors.
Noah Syndergaard, I saw some of the names.
There's a significant number of players.
And that's just a fun night out.
It is, and it's very reasonable. And again, we're very fortunate for a community this size to have a AA franchise.
Yeah.
I know there are communities across this nation that would give anything to have a Double-A franchise.
Yeah.
And we also have we're a hockey franchise here as well. We're affiliated with the New Jersey Devils.
Ah, fabulous! That's my home state.
Yeah, there you go. So we've got professional hockey and professional baseball. And we also have, an opera company here that's one of the oldest in the nation.
Wonderful.
Tri-Cities Opera. So we really have a lot of amenities for a community this size.
And I did hear a comedy club's coming.
Comedy club is coming.
That's the rumor.
So I think that's one of the signs of the renaissance that you've been looking for.
That's exactly.
When the comedy clubs come,
Once you got the court jester up there, we've arrived.
So yes, there's one coming to the Doubletree Hotel in downtown Binghamton.
Fabulous.
It's under construction as we speak.
As we speak. Well, I'm going to drop my resume off before I leave town.
That'd be a great spot for you next time you're in town.
I don't want to keep you too long, but I have one or two more questions for you. Do mayors hang out with each other?
Well, you get to know each other because there's an organization called the New York State Conference of Mayors.
Okay.
That really advocates for cities and villages at the state capitol.
Okay.
Almost, they lobby for us. There's a lot of issues that are important to us.
It's not like you have varsity jackets or anything, though. Or
Close,
okay.
Close. But, we get to know each other, and a lot of times we become good friends, and it transcends party level.
Okay.
Because when you're a mayor, you realize we're all in the trenches together.
Trying to make
this work. We're facing the same issues.
Right.
So I made a lot of good friends that were, Mayor Griffo of Rome, New York.
Okay.
Mayor Rabideau of Plattsburgh, New York. Mayor Walsh of Cortland, New York. Mayor Roy Bernardi of Syracuse. And then became
really
friends with Mayor
neat.
Giuliani of New York City.
Oh, wow.
We got to work together because, fighting crime, we were seeing that some of the drug crime that was coming to upstate New York, was originating in the city.
Okay.
So we approached him, the upstate mayors, what can we do to work to try to keep it from leaving the city and maybe encapsulating there?
Sure.
And he was very supportive and working with us. And as a result, he said, let's work together to try to eradicate this problem for all of us.
Okay. Oh, wow. That is nice to hear, yeah. Especially in this day and age of politics where everyone's at each other, yeah.
And so he was very cooperative, and we became very good friends.
Very neat.
So you build good working relationships.
Is there an annual dinner or something, or a weekend in the Catskills, or?
Well, there is an annual dinner every year when they elect new officers, and a lot of us get together back there.
Okay.
And just reminisce about the good times and talk about the challenges that are being faced now and some of the positive things that are occurring at the state level. So it is a lot of fun. But, you kind of make these are friendships that kind of last a lifetime.
Absolutely,
Even though you go off in different directions. Some of the mayors that I'm friends with are now state senators.
Oh, wow.
Roy Bernardi ended up working for President Reagan and President Bush.
Okay.
So...
yeah.
They've gone off in different directions.
Good people to know if you need tickets to something.
Yeah, and so... So they've gone off into different directions, but you still stay in contact.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of a brotherhood and a sisterhood.
I would think you've been part of something. Yes. Now, on that note, and I knew this was going to be a fun chat with you today, and I thank you again for taking the time. And thank you to the WICZ people. They've been wonderful having us here.
They're a great station. They really are. They're a great community asset.
It really feels like it. Even coming here feels like it. And on that note, your house, I was up for Thanksgiving, and we had Thanksgiving at a friend's place, and then we went over to your house because
we have some common friends.
We have common friends. They said, well, we're going to the fun house is what I would say. The holiday house. And I had a warm place in my heart because growing up, my aunt was always the fun house. So whatever the holiday was, you ended up at my aunt's place because you knew that's where everyone was going to gravitate and there was going to be laughs and whatnot. And sure enough, it was your house. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're always welcome.
It was the most fun post-Thanksgiving place I'd ever been. It seemed like it was just the joy of a place. All weekend, it seemed. They come over, there'd be some food, there'd be some people.
Well, it's one of those places where you never put the food and the refreshments away.
There's a new wave coming through.
Just coming through, And football's on in one room, and there's movies on in another room.
Exactly.
And so you can find your place, but there's just plenty of food and refreshment.
Do you get any sleep on those weekends?
Yeah, usually on Sunday night.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday are just like not much, but then usually on Sunday, when it comes to a close,
everyone leaves and you get to crash.
You finally leaves, yes. There's a couple of people stay over and say, just lock the door on the way out.
Well, I enjoyed that very much.
I was glad to have you.
Coming down here, we passed a sign for alternate side parking.
Yes.
And it reminded me of when we chatted the first time to do this interview of a great story. And I want to wrap the episode, if you wouldn't mind, with your fun story.
Well, when I first became mayor, we were just hit with a barrage of snowstorms. They were coming fast and furious almost every 7 days. It was very hard to stay on top of them. couldn't get the streets
And
cleaned.
you get a lot of snow up here,
We
I
do.
would think.
Sometimes we're in the snow belt, and it varies, but some years it's very heavy.
Okay.
And so I just said, you know what? The only way we're going to do this is go to alternate street parking. There's no way to get these streets cleaned unless we do that.
Yeah.
So we said we're going to do it, and we explain it to the population that it's very simple. If it's an even calendar day, park on the even side of the street, and vice versa. If it's an odd calendar day, park on the odd side of the street. So we just kept, and we even shortened it. Even number, even side of the street. Odd number, odd side of the street. So, and there was some controversy because some people, as you know, don't like change, and this was going to be inconvenient. So, I mean, and this is my first month as mayor, so you're a little gun shy.
Right, you're already trying not to rock the boat.
Put something in like this. So, I'm kind of watching it and taking the pulse of the community. So I get a phone call, and there was a woman on the phone, and she goes, I got a question about alternate street parking. I said, sure, what is it? She goes, well, you said, even number, even side of the street, odd number, odd side of the street. And I said, yeah, you got it. And she goes, well, today's January 25th. I said, right. She goes, well, what number do I use, the 2 or the 5? And at first I thought, is somebody pulling my leg?
This is a prank.
And she was dead serious. And I said, what don't you understand? She goes, I don't understand if I use the 2 or the 5. And I said, it's the whole number. It's 25.
It's an odd number.
It's an odd number. So I got off the phone and looked at my wife. I said, they don't understand it. I thought this was so simple.
I'm not going to make it 3 turns.
My heart just sank, Fortunately, it was an isolated case, but I'm telling you, it was like the first weekend of it, and I thought, oh, my God. Where did I go wrong?
What have I done?
I explained it.
Next thing you know, you're riding elephants, right?
Exactly.
Richard Bucci, I cannot thank you enough for your time.
Michael.
It's been such a lovely time getting to know you better. WICZ, thank you all for having us.
Thank you.
The team at Syncback has been amazing in organizing this. It was a fun, wild, remote live stream podcast. You are our first guest. I think we're going to see our pictures like someday in Wikipedia saying these are the guys, the first 2 to do it.
And there are Binghamtonians everywhere. So I'm sure even out in the Midwest, the West Coast, there are people who have their roots in Binghamton that have moved on. So hopefully some of them are watching.
Get a chance to tune in, especially if they're a little homesick. This has been Greetings from Somerville. Thank you so much for watching us every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Live on SBTV. We'll see you next week. Good night.